Now, let me check in with Lloyd Chapman. He is the president of the American Small Business League. Lloyd, most people don't even understand. Most people don't even understand small business in America. They don't understand that it's 70%. These are the job creators, right?
Absolutely. In fact, the U.S. Census Bureau says 98% of all U.S. firms have less than 100 employees, and those companies employ about 60% of our nation's population.
Okay. Is it true that these global corporations haven't created a new American job since the 1970s?
That's correct. About 95% of all new jobs in America are created by companies with less than 100 employees.
Okay. So help me out on this one, Lloyd. I look at what's going on in our country, and, you know, big business, I mean, the #1 business now in our country is the financial sector. Yep. So big business are these global banks that somehow or another were smart enough to become a global bank but couldn't figure out that, you know, Bill, who works at the movie theater, shouldn't buy a $2 million house. So the government is in bed with big business in the financial sector. These global corporations are also in bed with the government. Where does the little guy come in? Where's the guy who doesn't have somebody up, in Wall Street, or doesn't have somebody, you know, in Washington, D.C., you know, saying, hey, Congress, help us out, cut us a little slack? What does the little guy do? Little guy's out of luck.
The only agency in Washington that's there to help small businesses is the Small Business Administration. And that agency has had their budget cut to the point that I've had ASBL executives tell me that they can barely keep the lights on. So you had a good point a while ago, Glenn. You were talking about how the government is investing so much money in propping up all these big businesses, when in reality here in America, most Americans work for small businesses. That's where all the new jobs come from, and that's where the country should be investing money. But I don't know if you've seen it, but in the last, I guess 5 years, about 12 federal investigations have come out and found that up to $100 billion a year in federal funds that by law should be going to small businesses have been diverted to Fortune 500 corporations. There was a story just last week from the Department of the Interior that showed that that agency diverted millions of dollars to Fortune 500 corporations, even companies in Europe. So, you know, one thing that's...
On what? Why are we sending money over to European companies?
Well, you know, that's a good question. But, you know, today, while you and I are talking, our government is giving federal small business contracts not only to Fortune 500 corporations, but some of the biggest companies in Europe. Again, there's been 12 federal investigations into it, and it's been on most of the major television networks, and it's been in all the major newspapers. I do about 30 radio shows a month talking about it, but there's been no legislation. So two things we need here in America for small businesses is we need the Small Business Administration budget restored, and probably have that agency's budget, you know, quadrupled. And then we need legislation to stop the federal government from giving small business contracts to Fortune 500 companies, because that's where most Americans work.
All right. Lloyd, thanks a lot. And I just have to apologize now real quick before we go into break, you know, to all the Nielsen families, because just put your hands over your ears for a second. Don't switch the channel, because it's going to be very hard not to. I don't know if anybody has seen this John Adams special on HBO. The guys here on the set have been saying forever, oh, you got to watch this, Glenn, you got to watch it. I watched it, and it should be a requirement for every single American to watch this. You'll understand, you'll see this stuff. This is the same crap they were doing in the 1800s and the 1700s. Same crap, the same crazy politicians making the same stupid moves and getting into bed with big banks and big businesses, and screw the little people. Watch the HBO special of John Adams. All right, coming up, we've got more bad news. Our wrong